Hey, in this video we are going to talk about server-side template injection learning from a developer side. So what does this mean? Like, we are going to understand how server-side template injection exists in an application, and what does template means, and what does rendering means, and what does render do with templates, and all those stuffs, and especially what is that curly braces that we use in Twig or Jinja or Smarty, all these frameworks. So before that, I will just create a Python application and show you how a simple application which will echo you can say parameter value into an application. So currently I'm using a Flask module in Python. So this is a test.py which I have in my following folder, which is new folder name, which I have a templates name folder and a test.py. So in this I will just import Flask from Flask, import Flask, and I'll just quickly define it. App is equals to Flask, which will be main name, which is name. And now I'll do some routing here, which will be @app.route, which will be for endpoint, say this small endpoint, or also we can use @app.route, which will be for home, simple. And we'll give a definition of function which is name will be home. It's not necessary that we have to provide a home function, as you can give any name that we want. And under this we will return a simple word, say hello. And I'll just quickly create request app.run, which will be with debug mode. Debug is equals to true. And in my terminal I will just write python test py, and this will give me an endpoint from which I have to browse my application. Then here it is. So what we are doing, we are just creating a request and following endpoint, and we are returning a value which says hello. But for now, suppose I have to provide some HTML tags, which is h1, let's say hello, and name will be let's say Raj. Okay, it's a name, grammatical mistakes, that's it. So what I'm doing is doing a hello Raj. So for now, right now what I want, like there would be a parameter here and the name would be here. So I want this value to be reflected at this part. So for now I'll just change the name to something as, say, Ram. And for in PHP, what we would like to use, like $_request, right, or say post. But in Python we are going to use a module which we can get from the Flask module itself, which is say request, request. See, it's not that request, it's request. It doesn't have s, so it's not that we used to create HTTP request. So say name is equals to request dot arguments, which is args, and under which we are going to use a function called get, and value which we are looking is name. So, and now I can provide this name, say %s, and this will reflect at here. So for now, if we try to do something like this that we always do, which is 7 into 7, it's not going to work, right? Because we are not rendering it. So see, what is template? Template is nothing but just an HTML file which contains some if conditions and statements. So yes, so suppose if I just create a file into my templates, which its name will be, suppose, home.html, and let me just open it in brackets. So suppose if I have a template which says h1, and see, I'm going to use some curly braces. Okay, curly braces, and I'll want the value say name. So what I'm using is, like, I'm taking this template and I'm seeing if under these double quotes, double curly braces, if a name variable is defined, so it will just echo it right away. So for now I'll use, for that I have to use another function which name is render. Render underscore template, and name of the file which is home.html. and I think we are going to get an error because the name value is not defined, and also the template is also not defined here. I just have to import it from Flask, write it. So we are not getting any errors, but to give that name, to provide this name, I have to export the name variable from the template itself. So name will be and so say this is going to be the value. So this name value and this name value is going to be the same. So name is equals to name, and I can actually even change this thing, that doesn't matter. So now we have the value say Raj, and in this home.html will say hello, and that's it. Here it is. So for this part we can't do injection because the value is getting safely injected in a template. The value is getting properly rendered into this template, so but many a times there are situations that we don't have to actually, like, developers don't have to actually provide this code directly to the person. They might have to send this particular HTML code to email or somewhere else. So at that time they have very minimal scripts, HTML code. So for example, let's say we have output which will be used in mail while sending mail. So suppose I'm creating a 3 blocks here and say hello, let's say welcome. Hello is getting too much. Welcome, and say Raj, and this output will be directly being used at here. But for this we can't use this following class, which is render method. We have to use render method, render template underscore string, because we are using a string. So this following is a string. So what will happen, that this render template string will render the following string and provide an output. So let's just quickly test. Here it is. And what, suppose if say I am directly taking the input from the user, and where is percentage s, and okay, we have an error. What it says, print statements and expected expression. Ninja got end of print statement. Let me see, unknown exception. Okay, fine. We'll just use name is equals to Raj. Here it is. And now okay, I got it, because we use this curly braces and there was nothing defined. So let's say if okay, for now just keep it aside. We'll say name, so welcome name, so it's working properly. So what is happening here, like this value is getting replaced at this part, welcome say name, and it's directly getting rendered. So anything and any curly braces that we use, say suppose 7 will be rendered into this. Okay, just remove this part. That's it. So this is exactly, so it's like we have the access to create our own HTML file where we can provide this curly braces. So from here so like now I think you have a complete understanding of how this server-side template injection exists and what are the mistakes that developers do and why we use this curly braces. So if you go to see in documentation, say Flask Python templates, you can just check out their templates. It clearly says that Jinja looks and behaves mostly like Python, special delimiters and blah blah blah, and you can see anything between double quotes, double curly braces is an expression that will be output to the final document, and curly braces and percentage denotes a control flow statement like if or. So that means, like, suppose if I say if name variable exists, suppose if this name variable exists, only then provide the following output, and I will just end this bit. And if the following variable is not there, it will not return anything. Let me just change this thing to home.html. okay, what it says, all arguments are converted during, oh yeah, because we don't have to find it here. Okay, that's all right, we can just okay. So what I have mentioned, that if name is not defined, so it will not do anything. So for now, if I will provide this name here, which will be name is equals to name1, and it will give me the output. So that's why developers have to use this following functions, which is render template and render template string, to create an dynamic HTML code for that reason. And developers don't need there's no much need for function for template string, because we can directly create random values by using this name one, this percentage like this. But still, this is a reason why SSTI occurs. So from here, I'll just show you some basic way to enumerate the subtle classes and subclasses and how to use some that classes. So for now, I'll just again change it back to the vulnerable one, which is string, and its output. Let me check if it's working. Yeah. So for now, we'll give, okay, I'm not sure if you guys are able to see or not. I'll just magnify it. Okay, I think this is enough. So okay, something is not working properly on So for now, I'll use a string, and from here I will start enumerating classes. Say CLASS classes, not classes, it's class, and it provides me a value which I am currently, like the current class that I am using. So for now, I have to step back to the class. So for that, I can use .mro of this __mro. so it will go back one step back to the current class that I am using. It's giving me some errors. Just can I change it manually, like okay. Fine, okay, MRO. And now I want to, so there are two classes now. So what MRO means, let me just explain you about the MRO. Okay, so suppose we are like when I used normal class, so at that time we were inside a following class, which you can see the string. So suppose this folder is the string, and when I'm using MRO, so we are going one step back to the current class that we are using. For example, when we use for example, just like when using double dots backslash, we get back to the one step back to the folder. So same way I'm doing here. So I'm by using MRO, I'm getting one step back to the current class that I'm using. Okay, and just zoom it. Fine. Now I want to enumerate all the subclasses in the following class, which is this one. So for that I can use, so it's the array, so I'll select the second one and start enumerating and say dot underscore sub classes subclasses, and that's it. So here we have access to all the classes that we can use. So for now, what we are interested in is checking any class which can execute any commands, like we say. So for example, if in Python we can search for keywords like say system, so we don't have a system, we can use you can say process, process process, and we have a process word, say subclasses dot pop in. So if you just Google it, this part, so you will get to know that this subprocess dot pop-in can execute execute commands. So we'll just quickly check out some documentation on how to actually execute commands in this. So we have, as you can see, we have subprocess dot pop-in and some arguments. So let's use this. Okay, I'm not sure if you actually this magnified is getting some error issues. Okay, I don't have. Let it be. Okay, so I'll use the following subclass, which is this. So in this C, if you I don't know if let me just show you. So this process dot pop-in is 3 step back. So if you can see 1, 2 and 3. So to select this following array, we can use this -3 and we are in. Now to use this following, we can use this 2 brackets and provide some say arguments, say dir. So it gave me some error because this is not the proper way to actually execute an process.pop-in function. We have to use one more argument, which is called shell is equals to true. And now the following say command has been executed. To make sure that we have executed a command, let me just create a file into my directory. I'll use echo for, let's say, some random numbers and echoing it into my current directory, which will be like shell.txt. And now if you see in my current folder, shell.txt has been created. Okay, text, it should be txt, that's not an issue, but we have successfully executed in a command. So see, the example which I have gave you is a very basic one, which I'm not sure in real world this is even going to work or not, but in real world actually you have to go on and enumerate each and every class you have access to, because it depends on what developers has imported, which kind of modules or what modules have, and what modules and classes have that developers has imported into his application. So for now I have only imported some class and few other modules and classes. So in real world there would be lot of classes that the developers has been used. So at that time you have to keep on enumerating each and every classes that can execute commands, because not every time you will be able to use subprocess.popin. So that's it for this video. So in this video I'll just you have learned what is rendering, what is template, how developers use template and render the following template, and how does HTML code has some blocks, I mean that curly braces, and what does, and like the main motive was what is that curly braces. So you have learned about the curly braces thing, and I've also showed you just a simple way of how to enumerate the classes that a following application has, and you can just go on and use the subclasses and enumerate all the functions or methods that the application has, and try to execute it. And see, many times you won't be every time you won't be able to go for command execution. You might be able to come across a following function which can do something like executing a file or saving your file, for example accepting a request from another location and saving your data, or anything function. But for that you have to enumerate and you have to see one by one for that. So that's it for this video. If you have any further questions, you are free to ask me on Twitter. I am available every time for you. That's it. Thank you.